The 2024 Mitre 10 Mega Masterton New Zealand Cycle Classic will once again see riders from across the world converge on Wairarapa for 5 days of international stage racing. The 37th edition has 15 teams which will compete on the roads around the Winery District before racing the final stage in New Zealand's capital, Wellington. Since its inception in 1988, the tour has seen several champions successfully compete at the highest levels of the sport. These have included the likes of Robbie McEwen, Julian Dean, Richie Port, George Bennett and Corbin Strong. At the end of the week, who will add their name to the illustrious list of winners of New Zealand's only UCI 2.2 sanctioned race? 5 riders made the most of the narrow, fast roads around Carterton yesterday, opening a gap of up to 2 minutes on the peloton early into the 4 laps of the Carrington circuit. At one point, Breakaway rider Bailey O'Donnell from Oxford Edge was virtual leader on the road. However, his main objective for the stage was to secure sprint points, which he successfully did, taking both on offer before the flying peloton brought back the break partway round the final lap. Covering close to 49 kilometres in the first hour of racing, the peloton continued to pour on the pace as they headed into the final corner. Unfortunately, a crash in the final straight took away the chances of George Jackson. However, his teammate Aaron Gate was able to time things to perfection once again to take out the stage from O'Donnell and Rushfellow Ridley's Adam Chapman.
Right, well, here we are with one of the United States riders. Gavin, congratulations making it this far into the tour, and of course a big stage here today in that criterium.
Yeah, it's been good. Admirals was definitely an interesting day. It was big one to get up, but keen for today. This is obviously our bread and butter, being from the States, so I think we're really excited for it.
Yeah, what sort of things do you expect? You've been around the circuit a little bit, and it's quite blustery out there.
Yeah, it's windy, it's technical. There's some points where the road surface isn't great, so I think it's just going to be about controlling the front, being up there, not wasting a bunch of energy in the swarm, and trying to be there at the end.
And is there a particular teammate we should keep a close eye on?
Tom's been sprinting quite well, Tom Givens. We normally race against each other in the States, so I'm pretty keen to link up today and see what happens.
And of course, it has been a big week, a big introduction to New Zealand racing. How's the experience been for the team?
Yeah, it's been great. I think we've all really enjoyed it. It's been beautiful roads, nice vibes in the peloton, just hanging out and getting some Ks in.
And then I guess not long after this, you'll be onto the track.
Yeah, Tuesday I think is the plan. Drive back up to Cambridge tonight and then have a day off and then get to it.
Well, you enjoyed today. It's been fantastic having you here on the tour.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks, guys.
Well, Hayden Strong, we've made it to the final day, and as per usual, no doubt going to be fast and furious around Lambton Quay.
Yeah, short and sweet. Last day, I think the wind's going to be a bit of a factor, and it's a super technical course, so it's kind of get to your red line as quick as possible and see how long you can hold it.
And of course, we know the likes of the Whiz Wire, the Sprint Ace is still up for grabs for a number of riders, and there's a few sprints in there that could change things up a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Since people are racing for those sprints, it's going to stretch the field out, and then we're probably going to be looking for the counterattacks afterwards once people are already on the back foot. I think with the wind today, tailwind on the big long straight, it could definitely cater towards smooth slipping up the road.
And how's the body feeling? It's been a big 4 days.
Yeah, I've been a bit battered and bruised a little bit, but made it to the last day. All the boys are just still ready to get out there and race hard. We've probably been a little bit cautious for most of the tour, just trying to play our cards in the right places. But today it's just, leave it all out there.
All the best.
Thank you.
A 1.6 kilometre circuit in the centre of Wellington will see the riders race over 1 hour plus 3 laps. Commonly known as the Golden Mile, the smooth streets of the inner city circuit should see fast and furious racing occur as crowds get the chance to see international racing close up and personal in and around Lambton Quay. The riders rolling out here in some very windy conditions in the neutral section, 1 lap here of the centre of Wellington, New Zealand's capital city, and a fantastic crowd has gathered here today to witness what has been 5 days of fantastic racing here for these riders from the 15 teams as they head through the bow. Away we go. We're underway and racing here as the photographer trying to capture some great shots here as they have all week long here of the riders whistling down through what they call the Golden Mile, Lambton Quay here in the centre of the city. And it is the Mitre Q team, the Mitre Q New Zealand project team, who are putting a bit of pressure off the front. We can see Bridge Lane right up there towards the front of the race here as well, as they get underway here for the 1 hour's worth of racing and 3 laps to follow here. And you would expect to see certain teams up the front, likes of the Bridge Lane team, who are trying to vie for that team classification. They come in here only 9 seconds adrift of trying to win that over the Southern Cross Racing Academy team. So those two teams there are going to be having a great battle. Of course, it's based on the top 3 in the general classification. Speaking of which, of course, we have the various sprints during the stage here, and each of those frames at 10 minutes, at 30 minutes and 45 offers not only points but also 3, 2 and 1 second time bonuses. So for Gate, he has to keep a close eye on some of these guys. They get a little bit of a gap, they pick up a few time bonuses along the way here. They could move themselves up into contention in the overall GC, because remember, he's got a 24-second advantage over the second place getter as we line ourselves up for the next, well, the first of, I should say, of the sprints here for these riders at the 10-minute margin. No doubt we'll see the guy in the green jersey. There he is as he goes on around here. The Canterbury rider riding for Oxford Edge. Bailey, as he now lines himself up, he's got the tour leader by the looks of it in the yellow jersey, not far off the mark, but it is Ollie Jones instead that'll take out the first of the sprints. As I mentioned, picking up time bonuses, he's a man who was sitting in 4th overall coming into this stage here, and he's picked up a 3-second bonus here. Could be starting to put himself onto the podium, I should say, as a potential top 3 here in the tour. That's what these guys were looking for. They would have done all the discussions last night to make up a plan of attack here. There is plenty of opportunities, and we see there one of the Couplands riders going off towards the front, and again Mitre Q, who are very keen today to try and show their wares out in front of the tour here. And of course they got James Kenny, their team director. It's his birthday today, so they're trying to celebrate for him by getting a win here, and it's Craig Oliver who's gone off the front, the mountain biker. He's won numerous titles in the mountain biking. This is only ever his second big tour. After he did the SBS Bank Tour of South and back in November, he's hit off the front and is looking keen to try and make life challenging for the chasing peloton. And no surprise again to see the national team then going on to the front there in the dark black colours with Gate tucked in behind them here as they sweep around the top end of the circuit here. Headwind basically up the back straight, tailwind down the back straight, and you can see the rider off the front, Craig Oliver there. He's fighting with the bike here. The crowds are getting in behind him as he makes his way down the tailwind stint here. They're getting up to 65, 70k an hour, but he's been caught by at least one of the riders, and it looked like, again, one of the Couplands riders. And who have we got here? It looks like Glenn Hayden, the man from Wanganui. A man who's not a bad sort of a runner either. Won the half marathon in Wanganui recently. He's the fireman from there who has done exceptionally well in any of his tour racing. A very good time trialist, and we've mentioned him early in the week. Get off the front with him and you know you got some serious contention to be able to take out some points along the road, pick up a few dollars and potentially a stage. Very strong rider, and he's now been joined by the St. George Continental rider. That is Tom Sexton, one of the riders who yesterday was very prominent in the stage, and it looked like Gate himself was going off the front a wee bit there, trying to shut that down, because Sexton, a very good rider indeed, very good pursuiter. He's part of the national team's pursuit squads here, and he's going to head round down to the bottom end of the straight here. Looks like he's disappeared now off by himself after being joined by Glenn and co. But now the main peloton will be trying to just keep him in check. He's got about an 8 to 9 second gap here early on into the stage. They've got rid of that first sprint, and often as you see the counterattack that happens afterwards. Mitre Q still in the mix there as they try and line themselves up for the second of the sprints as we approach some 30 minutes into this 1 hour's worth of racing. And Sexton, as you would expect, looking pretty smooth out there in pursuit mode, but now the sprinters come into the fray, and it looked like the sprint ace himself there, who got himself up for some extra points, trying to extend it because there wasn't much of a gap between him and Gate coming into this. The sprint ace was on 29 points and Gate at 25, but it looks like Gate has decided he's not too interested in the intermediate sprints. He's trying to look after himself and set the team up for that final sprint into the line there after 1 hour's worth of racing in those 3 laps around the centre of the town. Team Bridge Lane, once again the Australian-based team, heading off the front there in the greeny sort of colours, making life difficult. They're trying to get rid of the likes of those Southern Cross sort of riders there, and of course, as we said, pick up any little time bonuses along the way, move their riders up the GC, and potentially challenge for that general classification, team classification here in this year's tour. And the power now being poured on. It's Keishi, Coupe on the front. As we've seen all week long, they've already secured the KOM. He's hidden back in the peloton there. He's just got to finish today's stage, and they'll be very pleased with that particular result. But they're also now looking to try and secure for themselves a stage victory. Nice tight corners for some of these riders here, as we see yet again Mitre Q New Zealand Cycle Project. They're being very consistent off the front here, as is the St George team being in the mix there as well. Oxford Edge in there. We saw Curry towards the front there for the man in yellow, as he's done all week long. He's done a power of work, as is each and every one of their teammates. Unfortunately for today, we can confirm George Jackson, who would have been a serious favourite for this particular stage as a Wellingtonian, as part of that national squad after that heavy fall in the finishing straight yesterday, unfortunately wasn't going to mount the bike here today, and he's supporting his teammates from the sideline. As we move to close to 45 minutes worth of racing, they are into the whistle lap, the sprint lap for these riders for those time bonuses, the 3, 2 and the 1, and also of course the sprint points available with them as well. And it looks like the sprint ace himself, O'Donnell, gets himself maximum points. Team Bridgelane up there again, securing a few points along the way as well. Ollie Jones has been hovering around towards the front, as I said. He's trying to get more time back to get up in the GC and potentially onto the podium here at the end of the day here in this 37th edition of this New Zealand Cycle Classic. And again, it looks like Couplands going off the front. Potentially Glenn Hayden having another crack off the fronts here. The oldest man in the field in there, but he is putting a lot of pressure onto these guys here. And you can see as they have to slam on the brakes. Big difference in criterium racing. Get a small group, get away by yourself, and it's so much easier to contest those corners. You can get your line sorted out and come in nice and smoothly, and more importantly, exit out of there and accelerate at great speed without having to deal with other riders in and around you here. But of course, he's also got to face the headwind. But at the moment, he's got 65k an hour down the tailwind straight here into the finish, which is making things very exciting for the crowds that have gathered here in Wellington. We've got people off the cruise ships here today, and great to hear a number of them from the United States. They're out here supporting the US team who are in the mix there. But now we start to see the faces are really starting to show 5 days worth of racing as the peloton begins to splinter all over the place. Meanwhile, though, the national squad, and more importantly, the man in the yellow jersey, are keeping themselves firmly in place towards the front of that race there and ensuring that no one is going to get themselves off the front. Surely we won't see yet another victory from the national squad. They've taken it out every single day so far. A lot of teams, of course 14 others, as we mentioned the US, there they are wanting to take a stage victory here today. But it's going to be tough going, and here we go with another couple trying to get themselves off the front, and it is the man himself in yellow, Gate, who jumped himself across there to the Keishi Coupe rider there to try and get a bit of a gap on the field, and straight away you can see the efforts of Gate & Co here, the St George team, the Americans are in the mix there as well, Team Bridgelane. That surge of effort all of a sudden opens up all sorts of gaps there as you see those trees blowing. The wind is making life very challenging. The surges and efforts that are going on as we move further and further into this 1 hour's worth of racing is really starting to impact on a number of these riders. A few of them have been pulled off the course already. They'll be given the average time, no doubt, of each of the laps here to determine where they'll finish up. But for what is left of this peloton here today, there is a lot of hurt going on. There are a lot of them in the hurt box at this moment in time here, as now the Canon cycling team go towards the front. They're chasing down, surely not again. It is though, coming into the final lap here, it is the man once again from Mitre Q, Craig Oliver, who's gone off the front. Surely today he must be a candidate for the most combative of the day, as Logan Curry brings them under the barrier. The bell lap indicating, as per usual, 1 lap to go in cycling, and Gate has positioned himself towards the front. He's got a lot of his teammates in around him there. Kean Watts up there. Potentially today, are they setting him up for a double victory for it? Or will it be Logan Curry as they head around the back straights in there? And it's one of the New Zealand guys who's just gone off the front. It's Bauer. So Gatenham leaving a bit of a gap for him there to make life a little bit more interesting as the riders have to chase onto it. And they'll start to come into the picture here very shortly for us. Gate, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Yet again, Aaron Gate has done it. An outstanding effort. Tom Sexton right up there in the mix, leading them down that finishing straight, only missing out by inches into second place. And then the sprint ace himself finishing into third with O'Donnell. But Aaron Gate adds yet another stage victory and puts himself in the history books, more importantly, in his second ever win since 2019, his last victory, only being the fourth man to ever win multiple tours in this New Zealand Cycle Classic. Well, folks, we have had an outstanding 5 days worth of racing. It has been pure dominance, pure class by the New Zealand national team, and Aaron Gate has come out every day to race and show these guys how it's done. 15 teams, 5 nations, outstanding weather across the Wairarapa, and then to be here in the capital of New Zealand, Wellington, with thousands upon thousands of people lining the streets to support these riders. We hope you've enjoyed all the coverage that we've brought you throughout the week, and we look forward to seeing you for the 2025 edition of the New Zealand Cycle Classic, brought to you by Mitre 10 Mega Masterton.
Well, she was pretty fast and furious out there, Craig, but you certainly made the race happen.
Yeah, certainly fast and furious, and I just want to try and make something of the race today and try and get something going. And it's been a bit of lonely time off the front there for 3 laps, which felt like 30 laps. But it was pretty tough in that wind, and then had a little bit of a rest and tried another couple of digs, and then gave it a bit of a fly with about 2 or 3 laps to go. But the legs were pretty sprint, and the boys were super strong chasing. So yeah, it was a good effort.
And probably not a bad effort for the birthday boy in the team.
Yeah, got to put on a bit of a show for Kenny. Yeah, he does so much for New Zealand cycling, the team. So, and to be here on your birthday just really shows that as well. So there's lots of cyclists, including Aaron as well, that I know has helped, and there'll be more that he helps in the future. So that was really good.
Now, you and I spoke back at the Southland Tour in November. Am I right in saying this is only your second ever tour?
It is my only second ever tour on the road, yeah.
And how was the experience over the week?
No, it was good. I'm learning more each time I do a tour. This was my first UCI tour, so lots of different tactics come into play, and it's not always about who's the strongest, and you really need to put all your eggs in one basket and really back one guy, and we're backing Josh getting up Admirals, and a little bit unlucky there with the super headwind, and he was super strong on the climb, but just couldn't do much, but that's the way it goes at sport, so yeah.
And where to from here?
I'm staying up and doing gravel and tyre, which I'm really looking forward to. That should be a little bit more up my alley, so everything going well on the road bike on a bit of gravel, and then I'll do crit nationals, road nationals, and then we just keep on trucking.
All the best for the season.
Thanks very much.
Well, Aaron, we've made it to the final stage, and what a way to do it, to come out in victory with that.
It was pretty hectic day, and I actually just wanted to try and get one of my teammates up for that final stage, and had Kean on my wheel coming through the last few corners, and then he just yelled go from the bottom corner, so I thought that meant that he was there ready to step off, but he'd actually just feathered his brakes a bit to open up a bit of a gap and let me go. So when I looked around and saw he wasn't there, I was like, oh, I better step on it, because it's not him that's going to be coming around me, it's be somebody else. So managed to just hold on behind with Tom Sexton and Bailey chasing me down. So pretty cool to take a fourth one.
And we know it's called Windy Wellington for a reason, and today you experienced it at the full force.
Yeah, it definitely was in full force. The wind gusting between the buildings here. Some pretty unpredictable gusts too in some of the corners, catching the deep dish carbon wheels. It was, some sketchy moments I think for everyone. But there was a few crashes. Hopefully everyone walks away okay, and wasn't too many expensive bikes broken. But it was I think the crowd got a good show, and it was great to have so many people come out and watch it. Really, the atmosphere really just made the racing all the more enjoyable.
And speaking of crowds, there's a bit of a crowd back over in Spain busy watching you as well. A new team.
Yeah, new team, Burgos BH. They've been following the racing this week. I think they've enjoyed the live updates and race reports, and I think it's good for George and I to get the year off to a good start for them, and hopefully buy us the extra bit of leeway we'll need to train on the track for the Olympics.
And of course, you become a piece of history here today. You're only the fourth man to ever win this tour more than once.
Yeah, it's a pretty special thing to have, and having won both this race and the Tour of Southland twice now is pretty cool to have that on my Palmeiras. And yeah, don't know how many times I'll get to come back now that I'm 33, but it's nice to come back this year and put on a good show for everyone.
Well, congratulations to both you and the team for making an outstanding race this year.